this is not a demonstration of a man, you need to tell me what man you're using to measure him with. Which one?
My idea.
What's going on, guys? BMS and Naya back with another video. Let's go ahead and get right into it. Make sure you guys don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. So here we go.
I have only known this young man 24 hours, and there's no way in the world, just reading his space, that I know he's gonna allow a man to abuse a woman in his presence.
She doesn't think about me that way. She doesn't.
Well,
Because I
then
just
you
saw
don't
him
need
playing
to be
basketball and going on dates together.
So what?
And
Mind your business. You say that you don't see the man that your son is. So I'm asking you, since this is not a demonstration of a man, you need to tell me what man you're using to measure him with. Which one?
my idea.
Which is your idea. Now, is that the idea you trained him up to be?
No.
Oh.
It's almost like a son-husband relationship, and she's kind of viewing him as a husband, so to speak, or a lack thereof. So she's basically projecting what she thought she could have or what she failed to have as a mother or as a wife, right? So she's here putting her trauma, her past trauma, onto her son and pretty much putting him in a position to kind of live up to a expectation that she wasn't able to accomplish in her life.
So how in the blazing bejesus are you holding him accountable to a standard that you didn't teach him, his father didn't give him, he don't even know what it is, and yet as his mother, you sit in his face and tell him you don't respect him as a man? Tell me how that works. Help me.
Like I said, it was events. It wasn't just.
I'm talking about
And it's
one
also
thing.
how he treats me.
Yeah, but I'm
doesn't
talking.
respect me
Hello.
as a mom, and so-
You see, you are a provocative victim. You provoke stuff, and then when you start being held accountable for it, then you start twisting and turning and making the other person wrong. Look at me, Ma. Look at me. Look at me. You just sat here and told your son, who ain't got a needle in his arm, who I'm assuming pays his own rent. He's married to a registered nurse. He's got 3 baby boys. And you just sat here in his face and said, I don't respect him as a man. And you don't think to consider what that does to his heart, to his soul, to his spirit.
I'm sure that's hurtful.
And you okay with that?
And it's hurtful for the things that he says.
But there you go, you're doing it. You're doing it right now. You're doing it right now.
Because it's
I'm
like-
holding you accountable and you spinning your web.
I
You're
can't
trying to
say
get away.
nothing when it
You're
comes
trying
to
to get away.
justice.
Tell me, just here's the question. Just answer it. We'll get back to that other
Okay,
stuff later.
She's basically saying that she has a discrepancy as to how the son treats her, and the way she's kind of dealing with the situation is with emotion, raw emotion, right? And men typically don't respond that way, right? Usually men respond with logic and, being rational, right? So she's projecting herself again into the situation, and she thinks that is going to get through to him, but it's just going to push him away, right? It's going to make him resent her. And good for him for actually, getting married and overcoming the emotional abuse that his mother has been giving him throughout the years. But I mean, he's married. He has 3 kids. You know what I mean? He looks like a decent guy. So he's doing things the right way. And it's still not good enough for her because, again, she's just bitter in this situation.
Tell me.
Forgive me. I respect him. He's a wonderful man.
Do you understand that your mouth, your voice, your words are connected to the coils in his heart, to the valves in his heart? He can't help but love you. And every time you dishonor that love, you chip a piece of it. This is why in our culture as Black people, when the boys turn a certain age, the men come and get him and take him away from the mother because she can emotionally manipulate him. But since we don't live in our culture no more, we say what we want to say, do what we want to say. We tear our men down and then wonder why they don't make good husbands and fathers. Mothers destroy sons. His mother can speak to him in certain ways that destroy him in ways that can never be repaired.
There's so many obstacles that we have to go through, and it starts with the home, right? It starts with having a good family structure, a mom and a dad, to be in that situation and in that environment, to kind of nurture that child to be somebody in this world, right? So let me ask you this, like, what's maybe one of the things that kind of helped you having a father figure? For me, I didn't, have a father kind of growing up, but what was one of the things or one of the lessons that kind of helped you in regards to developing as a functioning human being throughout society?
Oh gosh, just one thing that oh my God, my dad, I've said it multiple times, my dad's amazing. Like I don't know if I can just pinpoint it on one thing. First thing that comes to mind is always like treating others how you would want to be treated. I think that's just a basic one. Also, he taught me a lot about like money and how to be disciplined with that as well. Followed more in his footsteps because I'm like, I want to be like my dad. Like I was able to go visit his work at the time when I was younger. So I got to see a bit of like the enginering, like,
so you had a role model kind of growing up.
Yeah. And I was like, my dad seems like he has a cool job. I want to do that. So I was like, okay, let me try. So yeah, there was that part too. But honestly, my dad has taught me so much about character. I think that's the biggest thing. Like I always try to, whenever I'm thinking of someone to kind of like throughout my life, when I wanted to better myself, I would always look at my dad and I would always just see him, and like he's always just such a positive person. Like no matter what happens in life, he's always just a person that's like he's such a likable guy and all that
level-headed person.
And, like, he's never, my dad's so great with like keeping composure as well, because even when life happens and things get stressful, I never really saw it when I was younger, right? Like he was very good with keeping it together, and I appreciate him for that. And like I knew that I could always go to him for anything that literally any problem I had, I would just go straight to my dad. And obviously my mom is great too, so like I would go to my mom as well, but depending on what I needed help with, I would go to my dad for certain things. So yeah, honestly, I can't imagine like not having my dad.
Yeah, like having that level head in the household gets you out of trouble as well, right? It prevents you from being in trouble as well, especially for a guy. We have these scenarios with, black on black crime and somebody stepping on my Jordans and, he mean mugged me a certain way, or he has that gold chain that I want. You know what I mean? Like it kind of injects this emotional reaction. And, me and my father are good now. We have a good relationship. But growing up, like my role models were Jay-Z, Cameron, and you know what I mean? Like rappers and just these people that aren't, in retrospect, they're not good role models to be a man, right? So I think for men that are watching this, they need to, if they don't have a father figure, they need to find a positive role model, a male role model in their life that they can kind of mirror and get those teachings like you got with your father, and just kind of develop as a man. You got to put the work in, right? So, like life doesn't always give you a good hand, but it's not how you start the race, right? It's how you finish the race, and that's what it's about.
Yeah, and I also do want to say too, like my mom has instilled so many lessons in me as well. Like I don't want to just say like just my dad. Obviously, my mom is an incredible woman as well. So I'm in a very fortunate position that a lot of people like don't get to experience. So for me to have both my parents growing up and like for them to be both great people and to like look at both of them, honestly, my mom and my dad were my role models when I was growing up. So I'm very lucky to have that. And I'm just trying to think, if I didn't have that, I would probably put myself in a position where I can meet more people that like, because when you're young, you don't really know, right? Like you don't really know what's good, what's bad, and you're just like following along whatever is like, popular. So what I would say is really focus on your education when you're younger. And then that way you can also meet people like maybe
as a man?
a man, especially because if like let's say for instance, when you're going to school, right, you can meet other people, they go to different schools, you can keep connected with more people,
Yeah.
and you can see how people go about in their lives, right? And if you're like, oh, this person's really doing well for themselves, okay, let me get closer to them and be more friends with them, right? So then, because the more people you have around you that are doing well, the more likely you are to do well as well. So
Yeah, you average the 5 people around you.
Yeah.
That's going to be your net worth, right? And, going back to this situation, if he's growing up and his mom's telling him he ain't shit, he ain't got his father figure around, he starts dating, women telling him he ain't shit.
oh, it's painful. Yeah.
You're over 30, society tells you ain't shit because you don't have a certain amount of money or you don't live up to a certain expectation, right? So you go through life, people saying you ain't shit, you know what I mean? So psychologically that could damage you as well, right? So to your point, you got to connect with people, like-minded people, people that are doing things in society, right? Doing things in life, people that you can pick their brain, right? If it's a circle of friends or a group of men, right? People that you can kind of bounce ideas off and kind of develop as a man. So there's different outlets, especially in today's society with social media. There's influencers that you can connect with, right? There's social media, there's Instagram. So there's so many different outlets, I think, for men today in today's society where they can latch on to like-minded individuals. We're going to go ahead and end this video. If you like this video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time.